Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Tanisha Locks and More. To my new subscribers, welcome, thank you, and I appreciate you. And if you have not subscribed, what are you waiting on? Today I have a public service announcement. Actually, I have two. The first public service announcement, or PSA, regarding your Sisterlock consultant is: if you are getting an establishment, new locks installed, or if you are transferring to a new consultant, make sure that their calendar is open and can accommodate your retie schedule. So if your retie is every 4, 5, 6 weeks, I know some people are even on an 8-week schedule. Make sure that your Sisterlock consultant's calendar or schedule can fit your retie schedule. So this PSA is the perfect segue into what had happened was. So what had happened was my consultant had a couple of scheduling issues, and after my retie, I went to schedule my next retie, and she couldn't get me in for 3 months. So that was not going to work for a couple of reasons. One, I just think 3 months is too long in between a retie. I did not want to jeopardize damaging any of my locks, and I had a big birthday, I had a party, so it was just a lot of things going on, and I had to get my Sisterlocks retightened within that 5 to 6 week period. I found a young lady who was able to do my retie. And during the course of the retie, she was commenting on how small my locks are, and the grid, the pattern, everything was intact. She didn't have any complaints about the grid. She was just saying how small my locks were. So she did my retie. A couple of days later, I think I was styling my hair, playing in my hair, and I realized that some of my locks were combined. And I was not a happy camper at all. When I noticed one lock was combined, that made me go throughout my entire hair, and I found several other locks were freshly combined, like recently combined. So I reached out to the consultant. I said, hey, it looks like some of my locks are combined. She said, my apologies if that's the case. It wasn't intentional. Come on in and I will correct it. Fast forward, I went back and she in fact did correct it. So what she had to do is literally undo the Sisterlocks, part it again, and install new Sisterlocks for the locks that were combined. She actually missed a few, but again, I didn't press the issue. So when I went back to my regular consultant, let's call her consultant A, and the young lady who I had to go to because it was kind of like an emergency is consultant B, right? So consultant B combined my locks. I went back to consultant A. I said, this is what happened. I'm kind of upset about it, So she looked through my hair and she said, yes, I do see where the locks were combined. And she said that she would also undo the combined locks and do a fresh retie. So during the process of that, what she told me is that a couple of combined locks, I think it was 1 or 2, she did not want to separate. She thought that it was the right decision to combine the locks based on what that particular combined lock looked in comparison to the locks around it. So you do know that, in some portions of your hair, everyone is different, right? But for me, let me just say for me, certain portions of my hair is thicker than others. Some portions are my curl pattern is looser, and then some portions of my hair, the curl pattern is a little tighter. And then some portions of my hair grows faster than other portions. Like in my bang, I have a couple of locks that's extremely longer than the other locks. So it's like go figure why those particular locks are growing longer or faster than the other locks. Who knows, right? So consultant A says, I'm not going to take the combined locks apart because she feels like with the locks combined, it's in uniform with the locks around it. But then there was another section where she did not agree and she separated the locks. So once she separated the locks, she took my finger and she's like, here, I think it was in this area. She said, I want you to feel this section of hair. As a layperson, I felt the hair, but I was like, okay, it's a section of my hair. So she said, this section of hair, right? This is 2 locks combined that she unraveled. Is too big for 1 lock, right? But if you separate it, yes, the locks would be tiny. So that is what she did. She separated the locks and then she retied it. But at the end of the conversation, she was like, listen, you're a little over a year in, your locks are maturing, some of your locks are budding, your locks are, your locks tend usually thicken as they mature and bud. And she said you don't want to have too many locks that you have to restart, because as baby locks, they're prone to slippage and they're prone to unraveling. So what she said is, leave the remaining locks. It's not detrimental to your grid. It's not going to mess up your grid. You're going to be okay. Now, this takes me into the second PSA, and that is, make sure that you and your consultant have real and honest dialogue regarding your hair. So consultant A, when she was going through and pointing out why she would not separate some of the combined locks and then separate others, she said, the consultant should have communicated to you what the issues were and what her recommendations were as far as combining the locks, and then let me make the decision as to whether or not I wanted to combine the locks or not. But that conversation never took place. And so I think that's why I was really upset and a little confused. At the end of the day, I'm happy that combining the locks really did not jeopardize my grid. But I wanted to know, like, had I not been playing in my hair, playing with hairstyles at that particular moment, I may not have noticed. So again, talk to your consultant if you are transferring or having or getting a new establishment, and tell them, hey, in the process of doing my retie or in the process of the establishment, if there's anything you see wrong with my hair or my locks, if you see where there is an issue that needs to be corrected, let me know. Communicate, let me know, explain what the issue is, tell me my options so that I or you can make an informed decision. And so that did not take place with consultant B. And then consultant B also said that, she did not combine them intentionally. But my regular consultant A, said, she was strategic in what locks she combined, so she believes she was aware. And had the consultant just said, hey, consultant B, had she just said, yeah, I combined them, I should have communicated to you, no worries, everything would have been good. At the end of the day, I'm not mad, but this is just an example of why it is so important that there is an open line of communication with your consultant. Even if you've been going to your consultant for a very long time and you have not had any issues, it's okay every now and again to just remind your consultant, hey, or you can just say, how are my locks looking? Do you see any locks that look damaged, any repairs? Do you see any issues? And if they say, well, yeah, I see this issue or potentially a potential issue, then you take it from there. So the first public service announcement is, one, make sure that your consultant's calendar fits your VTI schedule. And second, make sure your consultant is clear that you are all about great communication and open dialogue, even if your consultant makes an error, right? You want your consultant to tell you about it and try to determine the course correction. Now I'm going to segue into why my locks were combined. So my part, the grid, the parts in the grid are small, which means that my sister locks are small. They're tiny, they're little. The consultant who did my establishment, she calls them designer locks. So what happens is that as your locks grow and mature, your locks gain weight, especially when your locks start budding. And you may notice that, towards the end of your locks, where your lock is budding, it's a little thicker than the rest of your lock. So if the lock on the end becomes thick or gains weight, you have to make sure that your root, the root of the lock, can sustain that weight. So if it looks like the root cannot sustain the weight of the lock, or at some point down the line, your consultant does not believe that the root of your lock can sustain the weight, then you have to combine the lock. Because if you don't, you run the risk of breakage and the lock just breaking or just coming out or falling out. So consultant B, combined my locks because she felt as though, she didn't say this, but this is what makes sense. She felt as though the root could not support the weight of my lock as it's growing and maturing. So, that's what I wanted to talk about and discuss today. As you can see, I have more hang time and my locks are growing, they are flourishing, but it is a process and I'm learning as I go, and you will learn too. You can also learn, again, have that conversation, ask questions. If you're styling your hair and a lock looks funny or looks off, bring it to your stylist's attention. So what I do, for instance, when I had to go back to consultant B to show her the locks that were combined, I went through my hair right before the appointment, and each lock that I saw was combined, I took the silver hair clip and I clipped it, right? So that I went to her, I was like, wherever you see a silver clip, that's the combined lock. And you could do the same. If you feel like a lock is weak, it's breaking, the integrity is not there, or some other issue, right before your appointment, right? Because you don't want to be walking around looking crazy with, hairpins all in your hair. Just clip the lock. And then when you go to your consultant, say, hey, this lock looks a little off. What do you think? And they may say it's fine, nothing to worry about. Or they may say, yeah, maybe this lock does, maybe this lock needs some attention. All is well in the end, right? But it was a learning lesson. And I think as sister lock queens, I think this journey, we will learn a lot about our hair. And for you sister lock consultants who may be watching this, I think it's also a learning experience for you as well. Communicate. You could be the best consultant, and whatever changes you make, combining locks or what have you, could be the right choice, but just communicate to your client and let your client know what's going on, right? So thank you for tuning in. Again, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I will talk to you later. Have a good one. Bye.